The Borderlands games have had some of the strongest post-release DLC this generation. With Borderlands 2, this is set to wrap up quite neatly in the next month or so with the 4th DLC pack from the Season Pass, something which was leaked in a not-so-subtle fashion about a week ago. But alongside this, next week we have a new character called Krieg coming out. He is a psycho bandit, and a lot of effort has been made to get you into this particular mindset, to funnel you into a particular style of play with this character. So first up, the main ability that you get is called Axe Rampage, which gives you an axe in your hand, and it really wants you to charge off and hit enemies in the neck. So to help you do this, you're sped up sprinting all of the time whilst this lasts, and getting melee kills will recharge your health to really encourage you to get stuck in. If you're a little bit further away, then you can throw your axe, which will then stumble enemies, maybe even kill them, and then the axe will boomerang back to your hand, so you've got it straight away, almost. This skill is all recharged when you take damage, instead of dealing damage, and this neatly ties in with quite a lot of the rest of the skill trees. Now, the 3 trees are called Bloodlust, Mania, and Hellborn, and what you'll see in the background is me playing with the Hellborn tree maxed out with about half of Mania unlocked, but there's none of Bloodlust in there. So Hellborn is all based around fire and being on fire, just like the psychos that you encounter in the main campaign. Then Mania has taking damage become a sort of twisted, bizarre positive for your character, whilst Bloodlust stands on its own with stacks, which are quite similar to the Necromancer's abilities, where you want to keep constantly dealing damage for as long as possible, chaining those kills together. To help you do this, the tree's structured in such a way that there's a nice little loop in the centre. You have grenade kills, which will augment gun kill damage, and then the gun kills will augment melee damage, and this can go round and round in loops, as so you build up more and more powerful attacks if you can chain your kills together. This then tops out with the Bloodsplosion ability, where if you kill an enemy, they can explode with their blood becoming the element which you killed them with. So if you say had an acid or corrosive shot, and someone has triggered a Bloodsplosion, then they would splatter their nearby buddies with corrosive blood. And then that potentially sets off a huge chain reaction of 3 or 4 guys, so if you just time it just right, and then I'm sure it's going to be pretty spectacular to see. Mania, though, is kind of the opposite. Here you want to be taking damage, and you want to have your shield down, so that it's affecting your main health. The top of the tree sees you transforming into a mutant psycho when you use Axe Rampage with less than 1/3 of your health. But along the way, there's a balance of abilities which can help to make the downsides of taking damage to your main health rather than your shield disappear. As a backup, there's the new Light the Fuse ability, where if you're down, instead of crawling around, getting off pot shots and trying to kill an enemy, you are actually moving around at full speed, and instead of using your main weapons, you're chucking lit sticks of dynamite at people's feet. Now, to get your second wind, you need to damage someone enough that you can then run up alongside them, hold a stick in your hand and explode yourself, and then if you take them along with you, then you get your second wind. So it's quite a fun thing to see and quite a fun thing to try and do, and it's just a really nice tweak on the second wind mechanic. At a glance, it might seem like the Bloodlust and Mania trees are kind of like opposites, and both of them do actually seem to go quite well with Hellborn. As you damage people with Hellborn, there's always a chance that you will set yourself on fire as well. But the fire, again, it's not a downside, this is a good thing, it helps your abilities work better. So when you're on fire, you will take less damage, you will have your standard melee attack replaced with being able to breathe fire onto your enemies, and the top ability is called Raving Retribution, where when you're on fire, then homing fireballs fly out from you in what must look pretty spectacular from a third-person vantage point. And these fireballs will head out and track down the enemy who's doing damage to you. Now, I'm really no expert with Borderlands. I've only played a couple of hours of the first game, even less of the second, but the Psycho Bandit really was a good bit of fun, and very different from the characters which I played as before. You really do want to get stuck in there, set yourself on fire and hit everything you can with your axe. So if you're looking for a new character, a new way of playing the game, then keep an eye out for the character's release next week on PSN, Xbox Live and Steam.
My stomach is clear, and my mind is full of bacon.